Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers. And today I am going to be reading from my Pluto book. I hope the sun isn't washing me out too bad. And this is volume 1, and the author is Jeffrey Wolf Green. And it is going to be transiting Pluto through natal 8th house. So any of you who have Pluto currently today, Pluto is in Capricorn, 28 degrees, and today is July 7th, 2022, and it will be that way all month long. All right, so, I want to thank each and every one of you who have subscribed and who like and who share my videos, because that helps my whole channel to circulate out to more and more individuals who are needing this information just like you. And again, I always am so grateful for all of your support, energetic, your comments, your donations, and all of those encouraging words and positivity that you're sending me in the publishing of my book. I just want to thank all of you so much. It's very exciting, and hopefully soon I can get that out to all of you. Okay, let's just now see. Okay, so, all right, so let's get started. Pluto through the 8th house. If any of you would like a copy, just send me an email. The archetype or theme during this evolutionary process is one wherein the individual will confront all areas or dynamics within him or herself that are stagnated and non-growth oriented. Internally, these areas or dynamics can be of an emotional, intellectual, physical, or spiritual nature. Externally, any area in the individual's life can be experienced in this way: career, relationships, family, money, and possession issues. How the life has been externally structured, positioned, and defined, and so forth. The ways in which the individual has defined and related to any or all of these inner and outer dynamics must be fundamentally reformulated to reflect the need for growth. Before I forget, I also want to thank you, viewer and subscriber. Oh, I just lost your name. I am so sorry. Jacquie. I am so sorry, Jacquie, for making this video possible so that not just you, but any and all who have transiting Pluto through their 8th house can also become familiar with this. So thank you, Jacquie. Okay. A loss of meaning and significance given to these areas and dynamics is a common experience during this time and creates internal and external confrontations. Such confrontations reflect the need to metamorphosis and redefine the areas that are limiting further growth. Commonly, however, the areas that need to be redefined are the ones that the individual has overly invested him or herself in. In other words, the individual has put his or her life together in certain ways with respect to values, ideas, beliefs, and desires. The bottom lines of the reality orientation. A sense of limitation and stagnation occurs because the individual now senses that there are different ways to define and relate to these dynamics or areas. To change and redefine the bottom lines is to risk fundamental insecurity because of the level of importance and focus that the individual has given to them. Thus, the choices that the individual must make during this process are very important. The choices will determine how this evolutionary necessity is experienced. Positively, the individual will acknowledge what must be confronted and changed. Accordingly, he or she will implement the necessary strategies to effect the transformation. Now, emotional responses, ideas, directional shifts in life, value associations, and so forth will put in motion with faith. The knowledge of why or where these changes will lead may not be known prior to the initiation of the change itself. Commonly, this knowledge will occur after the changes are implemented. Faith is required. The key is to move forward with the new impulses, feelings, ideas, and desires that will originate in the soul. Like a volcano erupting, these new impulses will rise into the individual's conscious awareness from unconscious depths. The compression of internal energy that this process promotes forces these new seeds into consciousness. Messages from the external environment via those close to the individual can also aid in understanding what must be done. These messages can be of a positive or negative nature. Positively, others will promote and encourage the growth needs of the individual. Negatively, others will create confrontations and attempt to hold the individual back because of the threat to their own security if the person changed. The individual may be required to eliminate from his or her life those who are attempting to hold him or her back. Similarly, the individual must allow and encourage the growth needs of others with faith and courage. For those that are close to the individual, this may create fear and insecurity because of the way that the relationship had been defined up to this point in time. Yet, the individual must approach this necessity for change in those close to him or her with faith. If this process can be approached in this way, the potential for a complete regeneration through the elimination of outmoded and growth inhibiting dynamics and existing orientations to his or her life will occur in a positive and non-cataclysmic way. The potential for cataclysmic events will exist for those who resist this evolutionary necessity. They may experience the enforced removal of the dynamics or areas in which they are overly involved to promote the required changes. This period can be one of the times in life when the changes enforce accelerated development of the evolutionary intent as seen in the main karmic evolutionary dynamic in each birth chart. Now, to me, what he is saying, what comes to my mind, has to do with the nodes of the moon and any planets that would be aspecting the nodes of the moon and or this transiting Pluto through the 8th house. The magnitude and quality of the cataclysm is relative to the individual's level of resistance and the capacity to understand and accept what must be done. And the reason this author is saying cataclysm is because it has everything to do with transiting its Pluto. And whether it's transiting Pluto or it's natal Pluto, Pluto is always, it's going to force, demand changes in the areas that are necessary for whatever house it's going through or whatever planets it's aspecting. And it doesn't care. It's that death and rebirth. So that's where the saying comes from, I assume. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's Pluto, in my opinion. The negative choice of resistance promotes a loss of perspective as these enforced changes take place. The inner sense of personal implosion and stagnation can simply consume the person. He or she can feel as though they're being dragged into a bottomless vortex where no light can penetrate or escape. The forces of the individual's unconscious realms become stronger than the egocentric ability to resist. As a result, the individual can experience emotional winds, moods, thoughts, and impulses that do not seem to originate from his or her own consciousness, leading to a sense of powerlessness and confusion. From an evolutionary perspective, this time frame correlates to a purging of all the old behavior associations and patterns rooted in the unconscious that have been dictating the individual's responses to his or her life. The purging of these patterns and associations will allow for a progressive regeneration and rebirth of the individual as new patterns and associations replace the old. This purging can include the loss of external situations or conditions, a career, a relationship, friends, money or possessions, and so forth. The external purging reflects the inner evolutionary need. From an experiential perspective, this process is intense. And yes, Pluto is intense. The individual can alternate in a compulsive and apparently uncontrollable way between moments of intense highs and intense gloom or dark moods. The highs occur through a sudden glimpse of the light of understanding. The lows occur through the sense that all is lost, meaningless, and out of control. As the ego is buffeted this way and that by the inner storm of clashing emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and physical states, the individual can feel as though he or she is on the brink of death. Again, resistance to the necessary evolutionary changes is the cause of these effects. This evolutionary process promotes an intense karmic time. Prior life actions, as well as actions in this life that have created negative or difficult karma, can catch up with the individual at this time. The effects and confrontations make the individual aware of his or her motivations and desires. The opportunity to resolve old issues in karma is at hand. The purging of old karma must take place so that the individual can be free to move forward upon his or her life journey. Positively, karmic fruition can occur relative to prior life actions as well as actions in this life. The goals and desires that the individual has had may now culminate in actualization and fulfillment. The positive culmination itself promotes the need for new directions as that which has been desired comes to completion. The purging that this evolutionary process induces can only lead to a regenerated and reborn individual who will emerge with new desires, ideas, emotional responses, and understanding as to the nature and purpose of his or her life. The process is similar to going off to war and experiencing its devastation, misery, and pain, and then returning home with battle scars in place. Similarly, the individual uses the knowledge and perspectives gained from this evolutionary process to motivate him or herself to move forward in life, resolving not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Physical problems that can occur during this process can manifest in the pancreas, colon, and intestines as latent genetic disorders, a mutation of cells leading to cancer, or imbalance in the white and red blood cells. A rise of Kundalini energy may create severe psychological and neurological disorders if the energy is not properly channeled. Spinal problems may develop, as well as temporary paralysis of the legs or arms, spontaneous out-of-body experiences, and problems associated with the coccyx or navel chakra. So that would be, the coccyx would be the root chakra, and the navel chakra, I would believe it's the sacral chakra. That's right under the belly button. But also the solar plexus is above, but I think that he's talking about the sacral. In summary, this evolutionary process promotes a necessary death of all old and outmoded patterns of emotional, intellectual, physical, or spiritual behavior and orientation. It releases and purges the cumulative negative karma from this and other lives, or brings to culmination positive karma based on previous goals and desires. It removes all internal and external barriers with which the individual is overly identified that prevent further growth. Out of the ashes of this necessary destruction will arise a regenerated individual who is free to continue on his or her evolutionary journey. Wow. That's big, intense, like he said. I hope this helped all of you who have this positioning right now. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to hear from you. And again, if you would like a copy, just send me an email and I will email one back to you. Okay? Until next time.